scary movie marathon. Bring a VHS from home so we can put her on the big screen, only with the big screens.
Better pop some popcorn and don't forget my raisin nuts.
If we party all night, we'll be dead by dawn. Let's just have a scary movie marathon.
Welcome back to Schlock Reviews. You may be concerned because this week I don't have a guest next to me as I normally do. That is because I asked a few people if they wanted to take part in this retrospective sort of thing, and I got mainly just a lot of I got a lot of no's from a lot of people. I asked Jonah, and he said basically that he's concerned and he's upset about the amount of Ghoulies being represented on the show. That there's too much of Ghoulies or too much of the talk of Ghoulies when there should be more talk about the movies I'm reviewing. And that's fine. That's him. And he's being kind of rat bastard about it, being kind of asshole. So I don't care. I don't care if Jonah doesn't want to. If Jonah doesn't want to do anything for the. If he obviously his allegiance lies somewhere else, perhaps maybe the Critters or even if God forbid even Gremlins. But that's Jonah. So I don't give a fuck about Jonah anymore. So he's a really turned out to be kind of a bastard about just about everything. So I'm not really concerned about him. I'm not really concerned about what he wants to do. And then so I asked my other guests. My other frequent guests. Like Ian, Wendy, all of my classic guests, and obviously I got a lot of no's from them, or they'd be here because because I like to make the show. The show's not just about opinions. It's about the clash of opinions between the expert, obviously, and then the other person who's on. We kind of get to talk about the films and see if they do, maybe I give a 5-star and they give a 1 or something like that, And so there's a lot to talk about when I get all these other people on to come talk about the show. To come talk about the movies that we have going. And this is one of those situations where I find myself kind of in the tricky situation because, we don't. It's just me this time. It's just me, but that's okay because we're gonna have fun on our own. We don't need those other clowns to have a good time. Ugh, Jesus Christ! I'm spilling shit everywhere. Well, let's go right into it. Well, hold up, because I feel like we could be closer. Move the thing closer. Because we don't have anyone else, so we could maybe get to you if I get you here. Move that up. So we're going to start, this is a Ghoulies Retrospective. I'm talking about all 4 Ghoulies films. Ghoulies is obviously the popular movie franchise that started in 1982 with the first Ghoulies movie, in 1985, with the first Ghoulies movie. All right, it's a great. Right? Okay, so let's just go right into it. So, Ghoulies is a kind of a beloved franchise to me. Returning friends of the show will know this. People who've been watching, who've been paying attention. I cut up my head a little bit. I thought we'd be a little bit higher up. What frequent people who are fans of the show will obviously know that. Ghoulies, or the first Ghoulies. Oh God, I'm gonna throw up. The first Ghoulies is kind of like one of my favorite movies. If I had to have a top 5 favorite movies, it would be at 5, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. At 4, it would be Ghoulies 4. At 3, it'd probably be Ghoulies 3. Number 2 would probably be Ghoulies 2. Number 1 would just be Ghoulies. And Africa is a great movie. It really started off the franchise right. So we got a lot of satanic panic kind of stuff in here. There's a lot of demonology that's very important to the integral to the the inclusion of the Ghoulies and whatnot. They may be demons from hell, but they can sure pump up a party. The tagline on the first one. So this is a good movie. I love this movie. I really love the characters. And there's so many. It's hard for me to even name these characters because they're so good. But so I have the main guy, and he's dating this. He has a girlfriend, and they kind of move into this old house that he's inherited. Which we learn later is because he was, as a child, was abandoned by Sting. His dad is Sting. And Jack Nance is there. Name's Wolfgang. And this is a great movie. Anyway, so he kind of becomes, kind of like in The Shining, how Jack Nicholson sort of becomes seduced by the Overlook Hotel. He kind of becomes seduced by the house and all the its magical powers. So he starts to kind of get obsessed with the demonology behind this house and his family heritage. So he starts doing rituals. He's freaking out his girlfriend. His friends are coming over. He's doing rituals, and they're kind of like, well, they're kind of like, they're kind of like, what's up with this guy? Weirdo, you know. So, but burns. But yeah, so he ends up summoning these creatures called the Ghoulies. Well, I don't think anyone actually calls them that, but they are the Ghoulies, obviously. And they kind of come out. There's this evil clown. It ends with a big magic fight between the main guy, Jack Nance, and Sting, where oh Jesus Christ, and that kind of is the culmination of the whole film, because oh fuck, because at first it's all fun and games, but then he slowly loses his girlfriend due to the because he's creeping her out with all of the rituals and that sort of thing. And anyway, so she kind of wants to leave him. Can't really blame her, huh? And anyway, so he invites all his friends over to the house, and he has all the ghoulies there, and when all the friends are there, the ghoulies, they kind of take over the house. And all the friends are kind of like, what's going on? How do we get out of here? Because the ghoulies go one by one, kind of takes all of them one by one. There's the clown, like I said earlier. So that's kind of a major element in the first film, which doesn't really come back. And that was something that I was disappointed with, was that this evil clown, what's his story? What's the clown's story? Because Clown didn't come back in Ghoulies 2, 3, or 4. But this is just the first one, so it doesn't really matter. But the Ghoulies they eventually end up at the end. Everyone kind of escapes. Whenever get rid of Sting, everybody escapes. All the friends and the guy and his girlfriend, they all escape, and then when they're driving away, there's the Ghoulies didn't end up, and they're still around. They're still in the car, and we kind of leave it on a cliffhanger, which is kind of what makes this movie so beautiful, is that it's able to just kind of so easily kind of leave us in suspense. So that's the first Ghoulies, 1985. Great movie. One of my favorites, actually my favorite movie, and my number one pick for number one favorite movie that I've ever seen. So that's top. You can't really top something like that, because the Ghoulies just is like, you go wrong with the Ghoulies, and I've always said that. And that goes for all 4 films. So this is a 5 out of 5 film, and the Schlock clock is hitting at a 5 out of 5 on this one easily. This is a Schlock classic. It goes beyond, it transcends Schlock classics. This is a Schlock absolute must see. And it's one of the best movies ever made, and that's just a fact. As you see, I got my double feature disc here. It comes with Ghoulies 2, which I'll talk about now. So Ghoulies 2, that's 1987. Didn't have to look, because 1987. So Ghoulies 2 is kind of interesting because it picks up it's actually kind of unclear when it picks up, but you're supposed to believe it's right after the first one. But none of the major characters from the first one actually return. It's really just and they're at a carnival in the second one. I know what you're thinking. Carnival. What am I watching? Child's Play 3? That's what or at least that's what I was thinking. But no, you're not watching Child's Play 3. Brad Dourif isn't in this movie, though he is in Critters 4. So if you're a big fan of Brad Dourif, big Chucky fan, go check out Critters 4, because you got Brad Dourif in that movie. You also got Eric Da Ray in that movie. If you're a big Leo Johnson fan, I am. But we're not talking about Critters 4. We're talking about Ghoulies 2. So Ghoulies, what I actually love about it is that the demonic toilet dwelling goblins are back in this one, and they're stowed away in Satan's Den, which is a traveling house of horror operated by carnival workers, Larry and Uncle Ned, which are two great characters from this movie. And the Ghoulies, they merrily kind of devour these sideshow attractions patrons until Larry realizes that his horror house is for real, and he tries to flee the scene, obviously. But this is a deliciously outrageous special effects and over-the-top antics ratchet up the horrific fun for this one, and that's just in my opinion. This is fun for the whole family. This one, and some people think that Ghoulies it's not really for the whole family. Because of the excess of sex and brutal violence and murder, and that sort of thing. But I would say I would wager that any movie lover, if you're a kid, if you're an adult, a teenager, in between, then you're gonna love this one. This is just a lot of fun. This is a whole ball of fun, because you really get everything you want from a Critters movie. You get deliciously outrageous special effects, which I personally am a fan of because I'm a kind of a special effects junkie, and I'm always looking for another kind of film that's going to give me the kind of special effects that I want. And that's kind of what makes that one this one's just so entertaining to me and just so appealing. This is so appealing. But no, so this one's a lot of fun because you're at a carnival. This one, and carnivals inherently are going to amp up the fun because carnivals are fun, and everyone loves those. Everyone loves carnivals, just like everyone loves Ghoulies. And so it's kind of like a meeting of the two minds, like a melting of the two worlds, kind of everything coming together. Carnivals, Ghoulies. But yeah, we got great characters: Larry, Uncle Ned. Gotta love them because they kind of run a house of horror type sideshow attraction. And what ended up happening is these Ghoulies, they kind of sneak in, and when they sneak into the attraction, that's when things start to really go haywire, because then people are coming in, they're seeing the Ghoulies and they're thinking, oh, this is fun little creatures. I wonder how they're animated. Robot animatronic sort of a ghoulie creature situation for everybody to love and enjoy for us. But then they start to slowly realize that this isn't just a fun and game, good fun. This is actually, these things are killing people. These are evil. These are creatures that are up to no good in this one, like they always are. And so that's when we kind of, as a group, as they do in the movie, kind of realize that this is not good for anyone or us. So this is a fun movie. And another thing that I love about it is that towards the end, spoiler alert for people who haven't seen Ghoulies 2, towards the end we get a giant big ghoulie. And I know what you're thinking, giant big ghoulie. What am I watching? Leprechaun 4 in space? No, you're not watching Leprechaun 4. This is actually Ghoulies 2, 1987. It actually predates Leprechaun 4. So maybe Leprechaun 4 might want to sue Ghoulies 2 for the use of being big in the movie. Then they could probably make a good case for it because of this movie. It's very good movie. I would give this movie 5 stars. 5 stars, and I would say this is actually a Schlock classic. And my Schlock clock is at a full 5. for this one. But we're going to move on to the next movie, because this is only the first two here. We're going to move on to, well, right here is actually, I have a horror collection that has a movie called Waxwork, which came out in 1988. 976 Evil 2, which came out in 1981. The Unholy, 1988. Bud the Chud, that's 1989's classic. Chopping Mall, 1986. That's another classic. Slaughter High, 1986. There's another classic. Class of 1999 came out in 1990. But of course, the piece de resistance here, we got Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College. This is a fun movie. This is one of my favorites. Probably my third favorite movie ever. Just because it's so good, it's so fun, so funny. You know, I love this kind of fun, good film, that are movies that are fun and funny also. And this is kind of one of those, because for this one we got John Carl Boechler, who is the director of this movie and also the director of Friday the 13th 6, A New Blood, which is one of my favorite movies by Friday the 13th. This is one of my favorite movies Jason ever made. And so John Carl Boechler directed that one and this one. And this is kind of a beautiful movie, because you got this guy who his name's Skip, and he just wants to be the prank king. But he can't be the prank king because, he can be. But he wants to be the prank king, but he's got this other frat, which is... they also want to be the prank king. Enter the Ghoulies, which in this one they come from. There's a comic book, and you read out this passage. You read out this chant, and they come out of the toilet, which is really funny, and they always do that. Except they don't do it in the first two or the fourth one. And it's really funny. The way, because there's a lot of funny moments. There's a lot of good college humor, a lot of jokes about fraternities and sexual kind of relations, and toilet humor, beer, parties. It's all here. And I was never one for beer, alcohol in general. I'm kind of rewatching this movie recently. It's made me appreciate that side of it more, as I have been discovering alcohol in a new way than I have been before. I'm just drinking. Ghoulies 3 is so funny, and as you can see on the cover here, we got the three main ghoulies, and they're in kind of college robes, like they're gonna graduate, which is funny because it's not really something that happens in the movie, but it's funny because it's about they're going to college. So maybe a little funny jab, they're gonna graduate at college. It's funny to see ghoulies dressed up like humans, and it's just funny. Everyone likes the ghoulies. And in Ghoulies 3, it's funny because in the first two Ghoulies, they're just kind of these, they're these different kind of creatures, a bunch of different kinds of them. There's like multiple, but they don't talk or anything, and they just kind of make growling noises. But in Ghoulies 3, there's only three Ghoulies. In existence that show up, and they talk, which I think is funny, because ghoulies, it's funny to see these creatures talking, because they're not typically creatures that talk, and they're talking in this one. This one's so funny, and just so much fun. And so there's a prank war, and you got the teacher, Radner. He's really cool. I think his name is Griffin O'Neill, Kevin McCarthy, and McKenzie. He's one of those three people. And I know you're thinking, this guy, what am I watching? Child's Play 1? Because he is also in that movie. But no, you're not watching Child's Play 1. You're watching Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College. This is a funny movie. And it's got cartoon sound effects. That's something that I personally appreciate, because I think that funny movies have cartoon funny sound effects, kind of going through it whenever something's happening. But this is fun, and this is really funny. Um, and what ends up happening towards the end of the movie is the teacher sort of kind of becomes a giant kind of ghouly creature with the eyes and big mouth on his stomach, and he captures Skip's girlfriend, who they've kind of been having a relationship troubles the whole movie, so that's kind of worrying for them that they're gonna kind of drift apart, that's fucking tragic. But this is a funny movie because of all the funny. Because of all the funny lines. Ghoulies are there's one scene where they drink 2001 beers, and that was really funny because that's a lot of beers. And there is no way that they could drink all this. They're small they're like this big. So how are they gonna even contain all of it? It must have been you go to the bathroom a lot. That's all I have to say. But it's sad because Skip, his girlfriend, that when they kind of go when they're not doing well with each one another, when they're kind of fighting, arguing, it's for the audience. It's supposed to be in motive or conflict for the movie to go forward in its momentum, but. When I'm watching it and I see this movie and she when she doesn't like what he's doing, and then she goes with the guy from the other frat to kind of make him jealous, and that made me sick to my fucking stomach. You don't do that. That's that could be potentially traumatizing. This movie's real funny. This movie's really cool. This movie's funny in that it's kind of got everything you want in a movie. And I love that. I love that kind of funny kind of movie. Movie kind of stuff. This is my double pack of Prom Night, and then Ghoulies 4, which is the fourth Ghoulies movie. Maybe my fourth favorite movie of all time. And this came out sometime after the third one. Didn't say when. I know Prom Night came out in 1981. Ghoulies 4 had to have been... 1990. Ghoulies 4 came out in 1994. So 1994, Ghoulies 4. Coincidence? I don't know. But this movie is so good because of the where is directing, which is this is obviously a Gary Schmoy. This is obviously a Jim Wynorski film. Jim Wynorski, for those who are unfamiliar, well, he's just done it all. I mean, he did Chopping Mall, which is a good movie, and he did the sixth Friday the 13th movie, which is called A New Blood, and it's probably the best movie that Jason's ever made. And this one's so funny. And this was really good because it actually it's so funny, but the humor aspect of it is actually kind of nuanced. Because it's not like the third one, where the third one's just kind of in your face. It's the funny, I chew my food. It's just, the third one's in your face college kind of humor funny, which is hilarious, and I love that. But Ghoulies 4, and Ghoulies 3, I'm going to have to give a 5-star to. And it's also it's a 5 stars on the Schlock clock. This is a Schlock classic, true and true. And you really can't top movies where these little creatures talk to each other. And I think about Ghoulies, I think about goobers sometimes. Or even critters, they talk to each other. Not really hobgoblins, or gremlins really. Kind of gremlins, but not in the same way. But this one's really funny. No, but 3 is 5 stars. But Ghoulies 4 is actually so funny. In that, what it does well. And one thing I want to mention first off, the first movie are these the Ghoulies are puppet creatures. They're puppeted creatures. And the second one, they're mostly puppeted again for the second one. But in the second one, there are some what's it called whenever whenever you take a bunch of pictures and have the creatures move, not like claymation, but like, it has some of that in the second one. In the third one, they're also puppets, but they talk, and there's not any of the pictures, like I said a second ago, in the third one. But in the fourth one, they're human actors. Tony Cox is one of them, and the other one is but they're not even credited. And not even in the main credits. That's kind of stupid because who's watching this for Pete Lapis or Barbara Allen Woods or Stacey Randall or Bobby DeKiko? Who's watching it for these guys? This is called Ghoulies 4. I want to know who the Ghoulies are. But this Tony Cox is one of them, and the other one's another guy. They talk again in this one, being that they're humans. But they're just humans in makeup this time. So this kind of adds a new twist on an old fun way to look at the movie, in my opinion, is that G.M. Wynorski has kind of done it again with this one. Because it's really good, it's nuanced. And the sex humor, the sexual appeal, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of sexual appeal, and I love that when I'm watching a movie. Because what's better in a movie than sex appeal and humor? There's really nothing better than that in a movie, in my opinion. So this was really good because of the way that it happens, the way that I am seeing it for when I was watching it. It's just a good movie because the story, and this is the only one, because the guy from the first one actually comes back. Pete Lapis. He's from the first movie. He's from the first movie, and he comes back for this fourth one. This is the only time a character comes back in a Ghoulies film. And so you're thinking, why do you think they did this? Because I was wondering that, because when you're watching this movie, this one's kind of scratched up. When you're watching this movie, you're thinking, well, okay, so he comes back, and then they even show flashbacks from the first movie. But these creatures don't look anything like they did in the first one. A little black magic, a little black leather, and a lot of black humor is what Ghoulies for is the tagline. I thought this movie's good. Was really funny because of the humor and what's funnier than a ghoulie? They're talking and they're making jokes and wisecracks at the expense of the human character. Yeah, I am one of the. This is a 5-star movie. This is a 5-star movie. This is a 5-star Schlock classic. Five on the Schlock clock. 5 on everything. But I want to talk about a little bit about the traders who were supposed to be here today. Even Wendy didn't show up. Jonah, Carmina, Ian. I don't even know Ian's last name. I don't want to know because he's a rat. He's a stupid asshole, both of them. And I hope they die. I hope they burn in hell because they made me mad. They made me angry. And I don't even want to make it seem like I'm bitter about this because I'm not bitter about it. It's not that I'm bitter about it. It's that I'm pissed that they would make it about them. And everything I do, I'm a giver. Everything I do is to support the arts and to support film and to support film history and Schlock history and that kind of those kind of things. And so when I see these people who they're saying I don't want to come back because of I don't want to come back because I'm not comfortable talking about Ghoulies or talking about whatever you want to talk about or whatever. Well, that's kind of, to me, that says that they're just selfish and that they're just gonna be selfish about their own things and that they don't want to talk about the movies. And that's what I'm here to talk about, is talk about the movies and talk about the kind of movies that kind of get overlooked, because you hear, how often do you hear someone talk about Gremlins? All the time. You always hear people talk about Gremlins. How often do you hear someone talk about Ghoulies? Not that often. So if I'm here, I'm talking about it, I'm getting complaints and I'm getting people who don't want to come on the show anymore because I'm talking about Ghoulies. That just, to me, that just says that they're selfish. And that they don't know jack shit about cinema. Or about film history, because if you did, you'd know that they're one of the best movies ever made, those 4 Ghoulies movies. So what does that say to me? What does that say about their character, about them as people and as artists and as ghoulie creatures? We are supposed to watch them talk about these things for us on not even just on Schlock reviews, but also just on the street and just around, you see these people they're just bastards about these things, and they're just being completely unmotivated and work withable. Like, I just can't work with people like these, like the Jonahs of the world, like the Ians of the world, like the Ians of the world, who just they're so satisfied with being their own self, and with being these ghouly creatures, and they're so funny, these movies, that I don't even know where to begin with them. These people who are just always on my case, who are just always giving me, because I get a lot of feedback. And some of it's constructive, and the people who give me constructive feedback, I gotta say, I love you. You guys are amazing people for watching this show, for being there when no one else is, and for finding what I do to be worthwhile, because it is objectively a worthwhile endeavor, because if I don't do it, is in the words of Dr. John, if I don't do it, somebody else will. And that's the thing. But I'm coming in and saying, not just that someone else going to do it first. I'm going to do it the best, because I have the expertise. I have the knowledge of Ghoulies 1, of Ghoulies 2, of Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies 4. And I kind of know these things like they're kind of like the back of my hand, as they say. And in this case, that is the case for these ghouly creatures that are so funny and so fun to watch. It's just selfish to me when I hear these people like Jonah and like Ian, who just want to kind of make it about them. And because I would never do that, and I would never. I think that's completely. I think that's just silly for them to do, because I also think it's just sad, because I would never, being as selfless as I am, I would never make the show about myself. I would never do that. The show is not about me. It's about the movies, about the Ghoulies. It's about Critters. It's about Goobers. It's about whatever, any of these movies, Virtual Encounters. And so when I'm obviously not interested in making it about myself. And if I were, I would have by now. Because we're already on episode 16, or is this episode 17 or 5 or 6? And we are already kind of in there. We've reached the starting line by a good few yards, and we're moving past it to a degree where now at this certain time where we've kind of become, to a degree, sort of our own thing. And this is Schlock Reviews has kind of become sort of a cultural phenomenon at this point. So, so that really kind of infuriates me. It kind of infuriates me, yeah. But this is a 5-star movie. This is a 5-star full schlock film, full schlock classic, funny movie. Really fun for me, fun to watch. Fun to do these things, to watch these movies, and to watch these Ghoulies movies. Because there are no movies like these, and like I said, my top 5 movies got to be number 1, Ghoulies, number 2, Ghoulies 3, number 4, Ghoulies 4, number 3, Ghoulies 3, number 4, Ghoulies 4, and then number 5 would have to be Prom Night or maybe Chopping Mall. And so those are movies that I love a lot, and I love that I was able to take part in and be on Schlock Reviews, and even if it got to a certain point where I didn't know what it is that that I'm doing, that these ghouly creatures sort of are doing here. That's more than I could ever ask for as a reviewer, as a lover of cinema, to think of for us. And it's so funny. And this is a 5-star movie. And I loved it. I love this movie, and I love cinema. I love Ghoulies, and I love you, the viewer, as long as you're not giving me these feedback about less Ghoulies, less of this and that. Because I don't, constructive criticism is fine, but I'm not trying to have you hold my hand through this. If I want to talk about Ghoulies, I'm going to talk about the Ghoulies, because that's just kind of the show that this is. It's a show where I do what I do, and that's final. But thank you for watching. This has been a Ghoulies Retrospective. We've been talking about Ghoulies all night. And I'll be back, and I'll be talking about Ghoulies next week. Well, no, I will be talking about Ghoulies next week, but I will be talking about next week. I'm gonna have someone else on. I'm gonna have to find someone that isn't Jonah, that isn't Ian, because I don't want to make it seem like I just don't want to make it seem like I did that I personally, that I'm in any way that I'm not gonna be here, or that I'm not in, because I'm interested in film, and I'm interested in these type of films, and so I don't want to make it seem like I'm leaving, or I'm not going anywhere. Just because everybody else left doesn't mean that I'm gonna leave, because I love these movies, and I'm not going anywhere. So all right, next week we'll be talking about a new movie, new Schlock movie. And I'll be here with my new guest, and we'll be talking about these kind of movies all night. And I hope you guys join me for that, because I wouldn't want to do it without you guys. Because you guys are kind of what make this fun. You guys kind of what make this enjoyable. So come on back next week, and we'll be back at it.
It's a scary movie marathon. It's a scary movie marathon. It's a scary movie marathon. It's a scary